Hello, welcome to another episode of the RedLaughRiot podcast. My name's Matt.
And I'm Benjamin. Don't call me that, Joe. Just call me Ben. Please don't call me Benjamin.
And I'm Michael, here with Matt and Benjamin.
Oh, no. I've gone down
you've
the
really
wrong...
fucked it down, mate.
Okay.
You've really done yourself for a doozy.
Yeah, all our three fans are going to get real up in my grill about my full name now.
Yeah, you're never going to hear the words Ben again, or the word Ben.
What was the main topic supposed to be?
Well, I mean... It's arguably you could say that this recording session's gone on a bit long. And speaking of things going on for a long time, shows. How long is too long?
How long is too long for a TV series to go?
How long is too long for this podcast?
Yeah,
look,
fucking 1 minute.
I think we're all going to agree there's no set number, you know? But
3 seasons, no.
But I think there's definitely a terminal time where you can know this. So this show needs to stop.
This show just needs to,
you know,
end.
Or it should have ended 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
You can kind of figure that out and you can determine it. And I think there's definitely a way that it can be determined before it gets bad.
Yeah. So what are some examples for you of shows that went on too long?
Two examples that I think are basically almost feel like they're in sync with each other is How I Met Your Mother and The Office. In both cases, the last 2 seasons were a significant downward spiral, and the last season in particular was just why does any of this even happen? You know?
Yeah, especially that How I Met Your Mother last season.
Yeah. Ugh.
Genuinely horrible.
So pointless. So utterly pointless. I hated it so much. It's annoying because you don't actually hate it that terribly while you're watching it. Yeah. But then it gets to the end and you're just like, why did any of this happen?
I think the finale makes tarnishes.
Yeah, it ruins the whole season.
The season.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just for a throwaway. Why?
Yeah.
What a waste.
I think in terms of how long is too long for a TV show, I mean, obviously it entirely depends on the show itself, what kind of show it is, the quality of the show, etc. I mean, there are plenty of terrible shows that ran for a long time, and a lot of people could say that they should have, stopped after a couple seasons because they were always bad. Like people would often say that about, sorry, Matt, The Big Bang Theory.
I will say, I don't think The Big Bang Theory is good.
Yeah.
I just like the theme song. That's the only part I like about it.
But the thing is,
why don't you just listen to the song on its own?
But
that's what I do.
Yeah. But the thing is, even with The Big Bang Theory, not being amazing or anything, it seems that different kinds of shows have different kind of lasting power, right? So if you look at the sort of more dramatic shows, Breaking Bad, stuff like that, a lot of people would say that something like Game of Thrones probably peaked around seasons 4 or 5 kind of time, and then after that it sort of maybe, started to lose its luster. So maybe with those sort of quality TV shows where you're throwing in a lot of budget, you're throwing in a lot of drama and a sort of ongoing story, I'd say maybe after 5 seasons or 6 seasons it could probably get a little bit exhausting. But when it comes to something like a sitcom, I mean, you look at shows people say Friends, kind of took a downhill slope at the end or whatever, but it still remained popular. Seinfeld as well continued on for 9 seasons, was extremely popular the entire time. The Office, I mean, it had 7 good seasons. That's a long time because sitcoms just have that lasting power because they don't need that kind of continuous narrative. And then if you look at something like The Simpsons.
Yeah, how many seasons has The Simpsons been running for?
A long time. And I mean, no one says it's good anymore or anything. But I think the formula is often it lasts a lot longer if you're not looking at a show that has a continuing narrative every single week or whatever they want to do.
No, I think that's a really good point. Different genres sort of have different shelf lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, took the words right out of my mouth.
Out of my. Why do people say that? Shouldn't it be out of your brain? Took the words right out of my brain.
Well, because words come out from your mouth.
Do they?
So it's like saying you took the words out of my mouth. You took them away from my mouth so that my mouth could no longer speak them.
Say them.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of what it is. Or maybe the saying comes from an old time when we didn't know that our brains did everything.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. You just thought that your mouth just made words somehow. Think with your mouth.
I mean, there's probably a lot of people these days who still kind of don't know how the brain works because they don't have functioning brains themselves, so...
Well, that's not very nice, Ben.
It's true. We were just talking about this before.
That's not nice at all.
There's even
I'm
Even though
I'm not insulting like disabled people. I'm talking about like.
Are you sure?
No, I'm talking about like idiots, like Trump supporters and all them. Trump himself.
Yeah,
I said it. I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Let's be real. This podcast is the entirety of this podcast of its run has been us shitting on Trump.
The problem is we set the tone with that.
Yeah.
We set the tone by having headline after headline about Trump. That's all that happens.
Okay, well, what about... Does anyone have any shows that maybe they thought should have run longer?
Yes.
That's a good question.
Here's one. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Actually, I'd be just really curious because there apparently were talks for a fourth season.
Yeah, 3 seems minimal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just what they could have done and explored would have been so much cooler. And they've ended up doing it in graphic novels. Yeah. But the writing just isn't as good. It's just not there. It's not the same. So and obviously they had Korra as well, but again, wasn't nearly the same, wasn't nearly as good. And largely because I don't know if it's largely, but it is of note that the head writer, Aaron Ehars or something like that, I'm sorry if I can't say names, was not present for Korra he's not involved in the novels, I think. And he's actually also not going to be involved in the live action show, which is one of the more worrying things for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know whose decision it was, whether it was to do with the creators wanting to do it or studios, Nickelodeon wanting to do it, but they chose to fund the thing that we don't speak of, as opposed to doing a fourth season of the show.
Right, I see. Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate. And I would have loved that so much. Yeah.
I can't even think of one. Can you think of any TV shows that maybe should have run longer than they did?
Freaks and Geeks.
How many seasons was Freaks and Geeks? It was 1.
One season.
Also,
yeah, that's kind of sad.
The Office UK, only 2 seasons.
I don't know. I kind of like it as this mythical sort of thing that only ran for a short time.
I guess so. I mean, it was really good and it wrapped up really nicely and everything. But I mean, it had, obviously it had potential because the US made a whole 9-season show out of it.
For me, I think it was Fleabag. I don't know if you guys have seen Fleabag.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It could have been 3 seasons. I appreciated what they were doing with it, but I don't think there are any other plans to make another season, and which is kind of sad to me. I think that's one of those shows that could have really lasted a couple more.
But on the other hand, I can think of so many shows that have gone on too long. SpongeBob SquarePants is for one. And there are shows like this, SpongeBob,
Blue's Clues.
Okay.
Sorry, just throwing a grenade in there.
Probably. Not that I have a clue. I mean, you could probably make the case. And the thing, what you always notice is with shows like this, same with Office, when a major person on the show leaves, and either Steve Carell leaves from The Office or the creator, Steven Hillenburg, left SpongeBob after that.
That's probably when you should cut the cord there.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to keep doing it, but obviously, they keep want to make the show. And you just saw it completely just after that 3rd season, after the movie, and then I think he came back in the end for season 9 or something.
Yeah.
And then after his passing last year, bloody Nickelodeon's trying to make this new movie and they're trying to make a spin-off show about SpongeBob as a kid, which are things that he was very actively against doing, and it's just so sad that they're trying to milk everything out. All the creativity's been taken away. There's nothing more to do with SpongeBob. Just stop.
Yeah,
please.
I think that's
everyone who enjoyed it as a kid is now an adult. So making a new SpongeBob movie isn't going to bring in more kids because kids aren't even fans of SpongeBob. It's too old.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a show, one of the things I like about Breaking Bad is the fact that Vince Gilligan on purpose was we're making 5 seasons and, and then we're stopping for that part of the show, right?
Yeah, it seemed like they set out what they were going to do previously. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Breaking Bad is just one of those really well-structured TV shows. Kind of starts perfectly, ends perfectly, pretty much no fat on it at all.
Yeah, no, it's a really good show.
How many seasons was that?
5.
Yeah. So that's a real decent number. That's where I think another show, The Mentalist, I think should have ended at 5 seasons because I could tell in the 5th season, I was like, this has been going on a while. I feel like it's getting real. They were getting real into the Red John shit in season 5, and it's going to come to a conclusion. But no, they just let it drag on. And
it was 6
No, it was 7. Well, six and a half. 7th season was kind
of. Was
The
Mentalist a crime show?
Yeah. And it's like they really could have just finished it up and made it real intense and great in season 5. But they ended up being stuck in this position where season 6 came around and then they'd realized too late that they needed to cut to the chase and kill Red John, right?
Yeah.
And so then they just had this splits of this could be our last season. We need to make it good and we need to keep people involved after Red John. So they finished his story in like 8 episodes, which are 8 great episodes for that show. And then after that, they kind of reboot themselves into a new whole thing with the FBI and all that.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got their half season at 7 to kind of finish it off. But like you could tell that like they just didn't need that.
It should have ended with Red John.
Yeah, and
because that was the whole point of the show.
Exactly.
You know, that was why Patrick Jane joined.
In fact, 3 seasons would have been like obviously like because you know how they killed Red John at the end of season 3, you know, which was a great moment. But then you're like, but we're back for another season, and it wasn't him.
Yeah,
I mean, like I was obviously doubtful at the end of season 3, prove it that well that he was Red John. Yeah, they could have been less filler. They could have tightened it up, make it either 3 or 4 or 5 great seasons. Could have been great.
Yeah.
I think they should cancel Rick and Morty.
Oh. You know what? I'm not even going to say I disagree because season 4 relatively disappointing in the long game. Like there are a couple great episodes, at least one great episode, the Vat of Acid. That was great, and then the rest is kind of meh to boring.
I really liked those first couple seasons. I thought they were pretty interesting and stuff. But Dan Harmon is a real like wild card of a writer, and I feel like he's probably able to kill his own creations quite easily because he's so self-aware.
That's the thing.
And his shows are so injected with so much self-aware like commentary
it's
and
becoming
comedy.
too meta, isn't it?
Yeah, it just becomes like I don't know. It's just like a snake eating its own tail the whole time, and you kind of just like you just it's like not very satisfying to watch.
It's actually becoming what haters used to call it, which was this show that's too smart for itself. Yeah, you know what I mean? It used to be genuinely smart, and now it's just like kind of just like up its own ass, just a little bit.
Really? Not very impressed.
Like, we know how writing and TV works, and we're going to make jokes about it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend I've seen the whole season. I've mostly just seen what you've watched.
You've probably seen the worst episodes, to be honest.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't like these overly intelligent TV shows very much. They're not why I watch TV. You know?
Yeah.
I watch TV to get like a short thrill.
Yeah. And that's like why like BoJack is one of those perfect shows that I think ended beautifully. Like maybe they could have arguably done another 6. Wait, how many seasons? 6. Could have done a 7th season, I guess. But I mean, like I thought it ended perfectly. It was everything rounded out, and I think it was great timing. I thought. In fact, if it did have another season coming out this year, they would have been in the shit in the writers' room, like thinking about what the hell they're going to write. Because obviously it's represents it's a big social commentary as well, and so that would be a tough gig. Which kind of speaking of, I was gonna bring up Brooklyn Nine-Nine as a show that I'm really afraid of, especially coming out of recent events in the US. Yeah, specifically. How what are they gonna do in terms of having a reaction to all the police brutality and all the riots and all that kind of stuff? Because at the moment it's like, how many seasons have they had? 7. I've only even seen 6, but it's getting to the point where we've had sitcoms in the past trying to hit 9 seasons and failing. And they've been all pretty good so far. And I'm just afraid that, like, in general, I'm afraid that's going to, like, taper off. But now the response to this is going to be, who knows? Yeah. I read somewhere that they had a couple episodes written and they'd scrap them and rewrite probably with a new perspective. And I guess, like, I think it's doomed either way, actually, to be honest. I think people are either going to really love it or really like hate it, think it's like real controversial. Yeah, because there's only really a couple things they can do. Like I don't think they can ignore the issue.
No,
but also it's like a fun comedy. Like how are they going to realistically address any problems and make it good?
I mean, because you've got the sitcoms a lot of the time, they'll have like very special episodes, where they do tackle dark
and
topics.
They have done in the past.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine has done that. I don't know how they'll, if it'll be a case. Yeah, and then it's the thing as well, because as a sitcom, you want to, most of your thing is in comedy, right? And so it's hard to sort of get the light out of out of the situation. Do I think it's impossible to do? No. But do I think it's wise? Probably not in this current climate. Yeah, so you've got that to contend with as well. So I just don't know how they'll sort of work around that.
I think they should just cancel it.
Honestly,
it's had its time anyway. It's a good sitcom, no problems. They don't need to keep running.
Exactly. That's kind of my thoughts as well. I think, honestly, that would be like the most respectful thing to do is to say, actually, we don't think we can write this and make it good and good for everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd make like one final episode just to like do the whole farewell thing.
Yeah.
I always hate farewell episodes in sitcoms. They're always the worst episodes. Yeah. But like, fair enough if they wanted to do that, you know, and just like have one final episode and just be like, that's it. We actually just can't, you know. Either that or they seriously like think about it long and hard, and they're probably going to be delayed filming anyway, right, because of coronavirus and all that. So they've got time, hopefully, to think about it and like make the best decisions they can make.
That's totally true. I think I totally agree with that. I think the smartest and most respectful decision would be to cancel it at seven seasons, right?
Yeah.
Seven seasons.
It's a lot of seasons.
Do I think they will cancel it? Probably not, because it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, and it's hugely popular, and it is great. It is a great TV show. It's one of the best out there that's still running, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's impossible to know what's going to happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll never even get the chance to film it. Maybe half the cast will die. We don't know, obviously.
Die.
But all right.
Of COVID. Yeah.
COVID.
It's obviously.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows anymore?
Speaking of half the cast dying, what about bloody Glee?
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, that's hot topic.
How long is that show? Is that show finished?
Yeah, it finished a while
When
ago.
did it even finish? I didn't even pay attention.
Man.
But yeah, there is a bit of a curse, isn't there?
There's a curse on that cast so much, man.
Yeah, it's real sad, man. It's real sad. How long did that show go on for?
I don't know. I never watched it.
Yeah, I never watched it. I want to say 6 or 7 seasons.
Yeah, must
too
have
long is the answer.
Probably too long.
Because that was one of those shows where like a bunch of the cast left, not left.
Also, it's based in a high school, right?
Yeah.
So how can you have it for more than 5 years?
Exactly. They graduated.
Right.
They graduated, and then they had this weird thing where they had half of them at college, and then half of them at, and then like newbies at thing. One of the shows that I liked was Degrassi, which is like a Canadian teen drama. And what they did is every couple of like seasons they would introduce new casts. And so therefore and then they would
cycle.
So some of them would age out. That show lasted so long, probably too long to be honest. It lasted like 14 years or something.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Had Drake in it. Drake was in it.
Drake Bell.
Guys. No, Drake.
Actual Drake.
Drake.
Just Drake.
Drake, the rapper.
Drake.
Yeah.
Drake.
So that was weird. That was
Malkovich
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other shows that went either too long or 13 Reasons Why.
One season was too long.
One season was too long. Let's be real. Let's be straight up.
Yeah.
That was
another one I'd say that
Riverdale. Another one.
Not seen it. But one that actually deserved more seasons was Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. That was such a good show. And it got cancelled because nobody watched it on BBC America because it was not a show that was written for an hourly, weekly slot on broadcast television. It was written for Netflix, and that's why it worked great, because here it was on Netflix. And just so captivating, and just, loved it. And it's really sad what happened with that show, I guess.
Can I be real?
Yeah.
And say that Stranger Things should have been one
season.
Perfect season. And I say this as someone who doesn't even really like the first season of Stranger Things that much.
Interesting.
But these following seasons are some of the worst television I have ever watched.
Have there been 3 or 4? I can't remember.
4 now.
Have we actually already had 4 seasons? Or are they doing the 4th?
I think they're doing...
3 or 4.
I think maybe they're doing...
When was The Mold?
I've seen season 2 and I've seen season 3.
I think that was 3. I think it's 3. They're on their 4th soon.
And I just found it to be such a pointless continuance. I thought to me it was it was basically a movie.
Yeah.
And it felt really good as that film.
Yeah, absolutely. First, like season 1, you mean?
Yeah. And for them to sort of continue on, like, I know it made a lot of money and it's really popular and blah, 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 but
I think 2 seasons was justified because like the first season it was literally just the Demogorgon, like expanding that more I think was justified, and they had like this big climactic thing with the whole Mindfire thing at the end, and that felt like the end. It felt like, well, now what can you do?
Yeah.
And they honestly, like, what did they do? I don't even remember what they did in season 3 that was any bigger. They went smaller. It was weird.
This is, and I guess maybe this is like what I'm trying to say about like how sitcoms seem to be so easily survivable over much longer periods of time than when it comes to
your dramas,
narrative drama television, right? Because with a movie, you know what you're doing the whole time. You've got creative control mostly, and it's a contained story, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be wrapped up in sometime between 1.5 to 3 hours roughly for most films.
Yeah.
But with TV, you've got so many things weighing down on you, right? You can't, like, almost every single final season is going to have to be a quick wrap up because most of the time, with the exception of a few shows, the idea is the network wants to keep the show running as long as it's popular.
Yeah.
So you're basically walking through fog, trying to figure out what you're going to do next without an actual destination.
Yeah.
So, and because you're at the behest of networks.
I mean, TV studios.
TV studios and all that stuff. Just there's less ability to be able to look and plan ahead.
Absolutely, that's the worst thing about TV. Sure. And it's like happening with The Blacklist, which has it even fit? No, there's another season. They have to The Blacklist, like, which I gave up watching because I just got so bored.
How many seasons are there?
It's like 6 or 7, I think.
Okay.
And the most recent season finale, season was cut short. They cut 4 episodes short, and the last episode, some scenes were animated, like 2D animated, like a comic cartoon, and people were sent microphones. Cast was sent microphones, like cheap USB microphones to like record their lines. That's how they finished the episode, and they put that to air, and it was one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. And I just looked at one scene, like on YouTube, or maybe I did go on Netflix and look at it, but like I was just, why? I'm so glad I stopped watching because I would be so disappointed by that. But like it's just gone. It's like gone on. They keep getting renewed, and they keep dragging out this stupidly long, unnecessary storyline that it just doesn't need to happen like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think you definitely get it more with TV series for sure. I think though there is you get it occasionally with film franchises.
For franchises, definitely.
The one that comes to mind is probably Fast and Furious. That just needs to stop.
Okay.
just
to launch into a quick defense of those movies.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so the thing is about Fast and Furious is, in a way, it's almost reached the level of something like sitcom television, or kind of, what would you call it, episodic like, what is that when it's like episodic television, where people aren't watching it for the storyline anymore. It's there, but the reason people watch every new Fast and Furious movie is because they want to see some cool shit. They want to see some cool stunts. Right? They're not watching it because they care about this like grand, overarching narrative about all these different characters. So
is there
I kind of think it's okay.
I don't know if there even is.
There kind of is, but like to me, it's like they can make as many Fast and Furious movies as they want as long as they don't run out of like insanely creative and interesting stunt work, because that's what that's like known for. And I think any movie or any series can run for as long as it wants if it is focused on what you're seeing within that certain episode. That's why things like CSI, NCIS, these sort of crime shows where it's like a case per episode are so popular and run for so long is because people can pick them up and put them down whenever they want. They don't miss anything. And that's what's great about the Fast and Furious ones. You can watch it. You can watch the 8th one without having watched any of the previous ones, and you'll have a fucking great time because the story doesn't matter. And I think that's always going to be the problem with TV, is like when you're trying to create a grand story without a way forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think my thing against the Fast and Furious is it's gone to a point where it's no longer what it was when it started.
Yeah,
that would be my argument, sort of.
It has.
Where it's like, why not just name it something different? May as well just name it something different, like explosions and cool shit. The movie.
I'd still watch it if it was called Explosions and Cool Shit the movie. That's for sure. I mean, anything that has like The Rock like moving like what was it, like a nuclear missile or something with his hands. Like a scene where like all the cars in the area get like turned on and they start like driving out of a parking building and like raining on the streets. There's absolutely incredible stuff going on in the Fast and Furious movies. And I will defend them because I think they're fascinating, interesting, and much better than many franchises that have gone on too long because they try to incorporate any kind of overarching narrative.
What's an example for you of franchises that went on too long?
Okay, so this is kind of a weird pick because I actually do enjoy what I've seen of the new films, but obviously I think Star Wars is starting to just... It's getting silly now.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not just because of those mainline stories, it's because of like... sort of the fact that it's now becoming an enterprise, a multimedia...
No, you're thinking of Star Trek.
No, I'm thinking... shut up. Shut the fuck up. And I mean, we can talk a lot about Star Trek. Things that have gone on too long. But, you know, I think if only those first prequels weren't made and they just, like, forgot about them completely... Like, if the prequels didn't exist and the next movies after those first original three were like these new ones, then maybe I wouldn't be complaining so much. But the problem is it's been in the pop culture sphere for so long and so many people hate it now because the last two movies that came out weren't successful much in the commercial, in the like critical sphere compared to other ones.
You mean in the fandom?
In the fandom, yeah.
Because critics actually
like it's like the worst thing about it is the fandom.
Yeah.
They're just like, and that's the thing for me that's gone on too long. Is like I'm just tired of listening to fucking Star Wars fans all the time.
Yeah.
So I think Star Wars has definitely gone on too long. I think if they make another Indiana Jones movie,
oh jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I can't bear the thought. You know, then there are some things that seem to somehow be working and carrying on in an interesting way. MCU being one of them, obviously. Like, even if I'm not the biggest fan, they seem to find a way to continually justify putting out movies. Yeah. And I'm not really tired of it anymore. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of like, yeah, cool. Okay, another MCU movie. It just seems like part of the culture now. It's like its own genre.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, cool. That's fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just talked for a long time.
Has there been a 6th Transformers movie announced? Do you know if that's happening?
I don't know.
No idea.
Because I remember I don't know, 2009 or whatever, and they're like, someone said that there was going to be 6 Transformers, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so excited for that. When I was I was a kid and I loved them, obviously. And then I remember seeing like the 4th movie. I'm like, oh no,
maybe not.
But then at the very end of the 4th movie, it's like Optimus Prime flying into space. I'm like, oh man, that could make for a really cool 5th movie. And then pretty sure that didn't happen in the 5th movie. He didn't go to space or something because, from what I've seen, it's about King Arthur or something. Like, that's not what we were promised. And I was like, because I didn't even see that one. And I was like, well, I guess now there wouldn't even be a good 6th movie if they did one. Now they're selling them with a bundle with the 5 movies plus Bumblebee. Like, that's like the honorary 6th movie, which was significantly better than almost every other movie in the franchise. What about Jurassic Park? Jurassic World. There's a 3rd Jurassic World movie.
I saw something come up on. It was actually on my Facebook memories, but I forgot that I'd shared it. And it was that the director of Jurassic World had come out and said that the film was actually a satire of franchises and movies turning into business because it's like it's like a remake. Well, no, not a remake, but it's, it's like a sort of a reboot of like an old property, about a thing that was once beautiful, Jurassic Park, becoming a kind of overblown resort island with an amusement park. And I found that kind of interesting that he would say that because it kind of like reflects itself in the movie a little bit. I think it's a bundle of bullshit.
It doesn't really work when the movie isn't very good.
Yeah, it doesn't work when the movie's bad.
It just kind of sounds like an excuse.
And it is a horrible... That's a bad movie. And I was the only one saying it when it came out to my friends. I was like,
really?
To my friends, Wow. I was just like, man, this movie really... it's bad, man. It's a bad time. You're not going to enjoy yourself. Just because Chris Pratt's in it doesn't mean anything. Okay?
Yeah, I remember watching the trailer for the 2nd movie and be like, what? Why any of this? Awful trailer. One of the worst trailers I could have ever seen. Yeah. And I heard something like they went back to filming just recently of the 3rd movie and they got shut down after like day 1 because people had COVID.
Yeah.
Like, why did you even go back? Why did you start filming again? gone on too long.
So,
speaking of things that have gone on too long.
Okay, just one quick thing. I want to put out the next main topic next time we do the podcast should be
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Simply about Bohemian Rhapsody. Because the podcast it'll be about 5 hours long, so we need to prepare.
How long can I say I just didn't like it?
No, but that's the thing, you can't.
Why not?
Because we're going to have an argument, and it's going to be the longest.
But the thing is,
in fact, we could probably break the Guinness World Record. What's the longest podcast ever? 2 years?
What?
What's the longest podcast of all time? Like, what's the longest, like, continuous podcast
Probably a couple of days.
ever?
I don't know.
Guinness World Book of Records. Because we should try break it just arguing about Bohemian Rhapsody.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not going to have any arguments because, you're going to have all your, you're going to...
Think about the popularity that it would bring this podcast to break a Guinness World Record.
I don't think it's worth it.
I think it's completely worth it.
I'm not going to be able to talk for that long about something that I just am not passionate about.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the problem, is that you're really passionate that you love this song, but I'm actively just not caring about it at all.
Yeah.
This is how I feel when you argue about MCU to me.
All right. It's fine. It'll just be me and Matt roasting you for like 2 weeks.
You want to record a podcast for 2 weeks straight?
Yeah. The sleep deprivation will be amazing.
I don't think that's going to be healthy.
No, I don't think so either.
For anyone.
Okay. Well, anyway, the next topic we should talk about Bohemian Rhapsody next time.
Sure, why not?
Look, I'm not going to promise there's going to be much from my side talking about, but we'll see.
Okay.
All right.
We'll have a drink beforehand and I'll be more
talkative. You can have one of your alcoholic kombuchas.
Oh, those are good. Those are really good.
Yeah.
3.5% or something.
They do sound pretty good.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, final segment.
Speaking of kombucha, that's something that I've been doing a lot. In this segment that I'll be talking about, which is the segment that we like to call
What You Doing?
So what have you been doing?
I've been drinking kombucha. So what happened is that I got sprung up after COVID, after lockdown. We had to go back to work where I am in like level 3. And so I was like straight back into work. And because I got put into a position that I didn't usually do full time because we had the previous person who did it retired, and so now I was doing their job full time, and it just took a lot of energy out of me, to be honest. And like I needed some like a sugar boost or something in the afternoon, and so I started drinking I had started buying cans of Pepsi and just drinking Pepsi or something like that and having that, and I quickly realized after like a week or two of doing that, I'm like, no.
About 3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, he keeps count. Good to know someone's keeping track of my health. Because I certainly am not. I was like, no, I got to find an alternative because I can't just keep having a can of sugar every day. And I looked up online and kombucha was like a real good alternative. And I'll read you what it says on here.
This is the quality level of our podcast. Is we're reading from the back of kombucha bottles.
I Quit Sugar recommends. It's raw, vegan, unpasteurized, naturally no sugar, but it doesn't. It tastes like it's got sugar in it. It's like sweet and nice, and it's actually great.
Yeah, it uses the sweetness of the fermentation of the fruit.
Yeah, but it's like no.
What is kombucha?
So it's this weird thing. It's like this, it's almost like a bacteria that is like grown, and it's like this live thing. It's called like a culture, which is like this living organism. And then it's fermented or something, and
something happens,
and they drain it out, and the flavor all goes into the bottle, and they don't have the actual physical thing in there. Sometimes you get little bits of fluff of like the pieces of it, but it's
right.
I don't even know what it is.
It's basically a good bacteria.
Yeah,
it's a good bacteria.
Good fruity, delicious bacteria, and it tastes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
Right. And it's like,
and it kind of is.
But it's like, it's great, and it's good for you and everything. And I don't know why I haven't heard about this before.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah,
my whole life.
Absolutely.
Turn upside down, and I'm just drinking kombucha every day now. It's great. Well, not even every day, but you know.
What else have you been doing, Ben? Anything else?
Yes. So I mentioned before that I was watching Fargo. That's one of the things we softly met. You kind of touched on it before, where there's like there's like line between television and film. And you were talking about it with like the difference between like Stranger Things, like being a movie, and how the natural format of television now has shifted, that streaming shows can be their own thing and they don't have to rely on ad breaks and cliffhangers and all that stuff quite as much like network television does. An example of a great show that just is its own thing is Fargo, where at least like the first episode for me just felt like a movie. Like I thought I was watching a movie. Like how
much of it have you seen?
I've seen like 3 episodes.
Of the first season?
Yeah.
Oh, season 2, man.
And it's just like
Nice.
it's just its own craft. It's its own piece, and that's what's great about it. It just like adhere to any standard.
And the seasons are their own thing.
Right.
Like something like True Detective, where it's like
right,
which is also another great way to structure TV. We've got kind of each season as its own thing.
Yeah.
I like that too. I think that can really work, and that can go on for a long time. It's like an anthology series. Yeah. Basically.
And I just finished Space Force today. That's a lot of fun. It's just like, it's so whack and weird, but like it's great and funny. And it doesn't really matter that it's not that great of a show necessarily. It's actually just like kind of fun to just watch. I don't think I've watched many new shows other than those. Well, other than that, I've watched a lot of movies, as should be expected of me. I don't remember when we last recorded if I'd seen.
Yeah.
Had I talked about going back to the cinema? We went back to the cinema. The first movie me and Michael saw was Bait, which is a British film shot on like old film and in black and white and everything, and it's like this really like well crafted, visually like really interesting film. What else is worth note? We watched Shutter Island. And I was really hyped because everyone says it's one of these great, fantastic movies that you'll love. And I'm like, all right, trust you. And we watched it. And I found it to be like so boring and pointless. And why did I watch this at all?
Did you know about the twist going
No,
on?
I didn't.
Okay.
But regardless.
I didn't know about the twist, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
I knew about the twist before I saw it the first time.
Right.
But I just found it to be...
Just me?
It got worse. Like it started out so compelling.
Yeah.
It's all this atmosphere.
It's really great for a lot of the time, and then it kind of just turns around and is like blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you can kind of see things coming from a mile away.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. But on the other end of that, the next movie I watched after that, the next day, was Mother, which I loved so much, and it's the total opposite end, where it's this really incredible like visual journey that just entices you the whole way. And
it's pretty much all inside one house too.
Yeah, like one location. Like it feels like it's really one of my favorite. One of my favorite things about it is that it almost feels like it's happening in real time, but like the way it happens, it kind of time shifts without time shifting or passing. The passage of time, the way they did it, and the way it's filmed and everything, like feels like it so naturally flows into each other. And it's one of my favorite things about it.
Just controlled chaos. Like really, really interesting film. Have you seen it, Matt?
No, I haven't.
Fucking awesome, man. Watch it. Seriously. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
But
very dark.
If you can get past that.
Speaking of dark, we watched Dark Waters, which
Michael's
good
laugh.
laugh.
I assume it was bad.
No, it was great.
Speaking of dark, we watched Dark.
It was real good. It was like it's a standout for me in terms of just like being like a really solid, well-made film. Like, and it's got some really great editing and like, I don't know, like it's there's nothing like necessarily outstanding about the movie that makes it stand out above other movies. It's just like really good and really solidly enjoyable the whole way. And it's one of those movies that's about a topic that you wouldn't necessarily be interested in. It's about like a court case, or like a lawsuit against this chemical company. And like on the surface, like maybe that wouldn't interest most people, but it made for a really compelling story, I thought. And the last one I'll shout out Someone Somewhere, or Deux Moi, which was a nice, really like cute, like anti-rom-com story that not rom-com, anti-romance. It's not really a comedy. That was really nice. Saw that in the theater. And I also saw in a theater The Invisible Man, which was quite solid. Yeah. Quite solid. Better than I was expecting, to be honest. I enjoyed that, although in the end, it kind of did something similar to another movie which I watched, Ready or Not, which is where, I thought at first in both these cases that the movie was being quite clever about explaining the aspect of the supernatural elements. For most of the movie are actually unseen, or debatably you could argue that was them projecting that thought process on themselves, or the character was mentally unwell, and that was something they were thinking in their head. But then at the very end, they show how it actually works, and there actually was some other element to it, or whatever. And in both cases, like in like The Invisible Man, I think it was mostly like really well done. I thought it worked out fine. In Ready or Not, it actually ruined the movie for me. I mean, the movie was kind of really boring, to be honest. Like especially like halfway along, I was just like, why? how long? Why does this keep going? Like it just turned into this like loop to loop of just boringness, I guess. And then at the end it like ruined itself because it like felt like it had a through line message the whole way of like this is all bullshit, that kind of thing. And then I guess I'm spoiling it by saying, but I'm not encouraging anyone to watch the movie. That it kind of turned out, it was real all along, and it kind of meant that these people who were horrible people, it actually meant they were justified in their actions because they were right about their superstitions, which I thought was a really backwards thing to do.
Sounds like a Hollywood interference kind of deal, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And I was just disappointed with that movie because that was like really highly critically acclaimed, and everyone said that was really good, and it's like, no, it was really lame. I'll quickly shout out that I saw Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, and that was really good. It's like along the vein of Die Hard in terms of that kind of like fun action thriller movie, you know, that you just like sit down and you don't necessarily know where it's going to go, and then it just takes you along for this ride. It's like really fun and like enjoyable and thrilling, and you know, that thing. That was really great. And lastly, I want to mention that I watched The Hate You Give, which was being shown. I don't know if it still is.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But it was iTunes had this thing where it's like doing this. It had a whole section on confronting racism, and and they had a few for free that you could rent for free. This is one of them, so I rented that and like was really impressed by that. It was really confronting and really like to a lot of sides of issues that are currently happening. That was like really well done. Highly encourage people to watch that. There's definitely like a tiny bit of sappiness throughout, and in the end it's like this kind of like cheesy happy ending, which kind of like I really like it when movies like that have a more confronting and bad sinking feeling when they end, like BlacKkKlansman. But with this it kind of like turned out, you know, they kind of showed what happened afterwards and all that, and it was like
it kind of feels like everything's fine.
Which you know, which it shouldn't, because everything's not fine, obviously, which is why I love the ending of BlacKkKlansman so much. In this case, but for the most part, like really good and shows you a lot of cool stuff really well, you know, does a really good job mostly. Anyone jump in? I've been on for too long.
Okay, so only a few things to talk about here.
Wait, I'm not finished. I'm sorry. I had one last thing, which is not a movie, that I've been doing that I literally did mere hours ago. I'm so thankful so thankful that Michael decided to order Hal Pizza on Uber Eats and told me about that. I was like, what do you do you want to read the desserts? I'm like, yeah. So he reads the dessert, and one of them is this donut with like, they called it an unholy donut filled with salted caramel and your choice of dark white or milk chocolate. And I'm like, that sounds pretty good. Give me one of those with some white chocolate. And oh my God, I was blown away when I opened the box, and it was, to me, what I would call a jam wrap. Except without the jam, it just had chocolate and salted caramel. And I think I've talked previously on this podcast before about how the North Island seems to have, at least Auckland, has no jam wraps, and it's this thing that I love. It like it's like the spine of my childhood and of what I love in food. I guess it's the staple of excellent thing that I love to eat. And that's what it was, except instead of filled with jelly, it was filled with chocolate and salted caramel, and it tasted great. It tasted like, you know, because what we used to do sometimes, you'd stick some Whitakers, or they do it at the shop, into the jam wrap, and it's this jelly and chocolate deliciousness. It tasted a lot like that with the white chocolate. And oh my goodness, and it just brought back instantly. As soon as I bit into it, I was so excited. It just brought back this thrill of home for me, you know? And it's honestly, eating that donut, that first few bites in that donut, is the happiest I felt in a reasonable amount of time. So it was
really heartwarming or really sad.
It's both. It's both. Obviously, it's both.
No, that's the thing. Like, you started out, and I was ready to. Oh, sorry. Please continue.
And I just want to go back and get more, and I want to know, now that I know that physical product exists somewhere in Auckland, surely there's another place that does it with jam. Surely. Or I could even ask them, like, where did you get this? And why isn't this anywhere else? It was shocking. It's shocking that I haven't. If anyone knows, please tell me. Please tell me. I need.
Please, for the
where
love
are the
of
jam
God.
wraps?
He's going to become addicted to these Hell's Pizza desserts for now.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was getting ready to roast you for like being like, oh, one more thing, and then like reviewing a donut. But you totally brought it home in the end. You know?
I seem to be doing that a couple of times tonight. So get a good roll.
You've been really hitting it out of the park.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Okay, so I have just a couple.
I'm done. Okay. I'm done now. That was it.
I have a few
mic drop
things to touch on. Yeah, that's worthy of a mic drop. Saw Walkabout with Ben, an Australian film. So I don't know, slightly relevant to our location, sort of. I don't know. We're both in the same continental area.
Yep.
Careful your words there, Michael.
It's a very odd, very strange experience that's mostly focused on imagery. It's sort of two children lost in the Australian desert is pretty much all I'd want to say about it. But I found it to be really fascinating, filled with a lot of interesting commentary about Australian society, a lot of incredible wildlife shots, some of which I half of those animals are probably fucking extinct by now, to be honest. Yeah. Like, it's a great like piece of like history of like sort of like 1970s, I think, Australia. Yeah, I found that really fascinating. Other than that, obviously, since COVID, I've really just been filling my time with a lot of cooking shows, a lot of MasterChef Australia, which is a classic. And I've been reading some books recently. So I started out reading a book called The Secret History, which is probably my favorite book now, to be honest. It's about these Greek students at this really sort of well-established kind of like upper crust university in like northern United States in Vermont, and it's just about these Greek students who kind of bring the main character into their sort of world, and it's very mysterious and very strange, and there's like some sort of strange Greek ritual goes on where they kill a farmer by accident, and it all goes a bit crazy from there, and they all sort of start making further mistakes, doing crazier things, and it's probably the most beautifully written thing I've ever read in my entire life. I found it utterly fascinating, extremely tense. You love all the characters. You really feel for them, even though they're kind of horrible people, which is something that I love in all art. When you can look at a horrible character or someone who does really awful things and not feel empathy for them, but just find yourself constantly drawn to what they're going to do next. Yeah. I find that really fascinating. And now I'm reading The Beach by Alex Garland, which was also made into a film with Leonardo DiCaprio in like the year 2000 or something, quite early. And I don't really know what that's about yet because I've just started reading it, but it seems pretty cool. That's all that I've been doing.
Nice. So I've been really slack. I don't know why, but I
haven't done anything.
I haven't been able to like watch anything. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like I haven't been able to watch TV shows or movies at the moment. Yeah, which is weird. So hopefully at some stage I'll get back into it.
What do you do with your time?
But
actually, don't tell me.
What?
I think I know.
But having said that, I finally did a thing.
I just made a joke about Matt masturbating all the time.
Anyway.
Hello, Matt's mom.
What? Anyway. No, I finally got tattoos. I did a thing. I got tats now. I've wanted them for ages. Yeah. I've wanted them since like year 12 of high school. So finally went and did it. And I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna get them as like a 21st present to myself. Right?
Nice.
Yeah.
And so that's what it. And so booked it in on that. It was super easy. Booked it. Was like, yo, they were like, what do you want? Where do you want them? What size do you want? Okay, here's the day that we'll do it.
Wow.
Went down, did it. Super. Here's the thing about tats, right?
It hurts?
No, it doesn't hurt.
Oh.
It does not hurt.
Yeah, you got it in a pretty okay place, so it's not too bad there.
It's like someone scratching you, like really badly. But like multiple times over. That's how I'd describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like easy as got them done in like an hour or something. It was like $200. So
yep,
reasonable price.
Yeah.
And then I got them on my body.
How do you feel now that you actually have something that is on your body?
Fucking sick.
You think it's awesome?
Yeah. It's dope.
Yeah. Awesome.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm looking forward to the feeling.
I don't know, because like I said, it was something that I wanted to do for a while, and I think a lot of the time, I don't know about you guys, but I do this a lot. There's like, you say you want to do something for ages, and like the hardest part's always actually like starting something or like actually doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's really easy to be like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then you never do it, and you're just constantly always talking about doing it, and so like actually getting out and actually doing something.
Yeah. Getting the motivation to do anything is hard. It took me like probably a month to psych myself up to like shave my head again.
Yeah.
Like it takes a while.
Yeah.
for a tattoo. I mean, how long did you even have that in your head before it got done?
4 years.
Yeah.
I was doing the math.
Yeah, man.
Had to take a moment. But like, yeah, so that was something that I wanted to do for ages that I finally did. And both tattoos are like deep meaning and stuff.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I think that's about it for this episode of the podcast. My name's been Matt.
And I've been Ben.
And I have been Michael.
See you guys next time. Goodbye.
See you on the flipperoo.
Potato.
Stay safe, everyone.
Oh yeah, we should say yeah.
If you're in America, wear a mask. If you're in New
Just
Zealand,
stay inside.
Sorry, that's really rude. People are dying. Sorry.